Hey, it's John here, and today I'm going to talk about Notion and a little side project I'm building called the Creative Project Operating System. All right, got ChatGPT to help me with that one. What I'm going to kind of cover today, I'm going to cover my whole sort of thesis on why a lot of studios are disorganized, the ability to use some of these newer tools that are out there, like Notion, how I'm also mecking around in ChatGPT at the same time to massively accelerate my velocity, at least 20 times as much. And the goal that I want to be able to do is to be able to tie this all into the software we've been building, but really I want to focus mostly on the Notion particular piece, right? Here's the idea. I'm going to try and publish these as Notion templates in the near future. There'll be a free version, potentially a pro version on things, and if folks are interested in getting custom builds, I also want to be able to explore that. So when I showed a video last week, I just talked about the general concept. Here's where I am at now. So one, I'm giving it a name, and I'm calling it the Creative Project Operating System. Keep in mind, this is not designed specifically for visual effects. It is designed for creative industries where you are managing many projects. Those projects have a whole bidding cycle that you go through. There are different resources that are going to be required to do that. I know that most MBAs don't go and get their MBA and then decide to start a creative industry. What usually happens is someone is an artist, they get a gig, they hire a buddy, they pull the project off, then they get another one, the team starts to grow, and suddenly they wake up 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years later, and they have this big studio, but they don't necessarily have systems in place. And the Creative Project OS is kind of designed to encapsulate that entire thing. So it's going to be about managing projects, managing bids and proposals, even being able to spit out proposals directly from the software. So the idea is that you can do all of the bidding in Notion, or you can just import things in from Excel or whatever else you're using, and then be able to generate these pre-built sort of templates that are in there to really optimize the workflow, right? We're also looking at having things like, team and resource planning, who's on your team, also keeping track of all the people you've interviewed over the years, their availability, their skills, these sort of things. Being able to look at timelines and schedules, keeping track of communications, even all the reference media. Now, it depends on the industry you're in. Like if you're in film and television, you have to be very careful about what's uploaded to the cloud. But if you're doing advertising work or other things, that's a possibility. Snapshots, templates. And then this is the big thing I've been focusing on, really it's this morning, and honestly this is about 2 hours worth of work, is starting to build out all the core tables. So Notion is a relational database, which means it's really easy to create these nested systems. And having spent 25 years in the film and television industry and visual effects, I have a pretty good sense of what the flow needs to look like. So I'm going to run through the list and then I'll show you some of the stuff that's inside. So we have a client table, and then of those clients we have projects that they're on. So if you're on a film project, there may be the main thing, but then inside of that could be episodes or sequences. So we give you the ability to have a sub-project table where you can keep track of that. Inside of that are your shots or deliverables. There's also another table for all of the media that you have, and you can link it back up to these other tables. There's your team directory where you can keep track of all of your team members and also candidates. There's the proposal or quote summary. So this is really the idea that you have sort of bid number 1, bid number 2, bid number 3. You get a bid pack from a client and you're going through the first iteration and then the second and the third. This is a table we're going to keep track of all of those. Inside of those are going to be the actual bid line items, shot 1, shot 2, shot 3, asset 1, asset 2 in the iterations. Also got thinking about rate cards, right? So it's all fine and dandy to build a rate card, right? An animator is going to be A, a lighter is going to be B, but those could also potentially change over time. I want to make sure you can actually have these rate cards and be able to publish versions of the rate cards so that if you make changes to rates in the future, you're not changing past bids, because you may want to be able to go back through that historical stack on things. So how did I put all this together? Again, I really leaned into ChatGPT and my knowledge about the visual effects industry to start to think through what these recommended structures could be for these Notion tables. And what's nice is you can even get ChatGPT to spit out CSV files that you can automatically import in to start creating some of those mappings. Get you about 80% of the way there. So with that in mind, for example, if we go at the very, very beginning, they get simple and then get more complicated. So here's my expanded client list, and these are potentially the fields that I want to keep track of. The name, the emails, the phones, these sort of things. So for every single one of these, I have a default sort of set of properties that are here, and then I'm linking these to some of the downstream databases. Obviously, the next one in the stack is we actually have our project. So maybe there's a project called the Nike Vision campaign, belongs to Sunset Studios. I've got details about that particular piece that are in there and all the notes that kind of go along with it. The whole idea here is having a central shareable but also permission-based database of all of your key properties, as opposed to them being buried in different spots, in emails, in someone's folder on their local computer, or in some buried admin folder. They're all bubbling up to one central place so that they can then drive downstream information. The other nice thing about Notion is it has a whole AI backbone inside of it as well. So it's also possible, once you have this data in here, to start asking questions of the data at the same time too. Subprojects. So inside of every single project, there can be subprojects, whether those are phases or episodes. So we give the ability to keep track of those as well. All the different statuses that are kind of going on for those, whether they're archived or not, all of this, right? Next up, shots. These are our deliverables. And I purposely busted these out because we don't want to be bidding a version of a shot and then the director gives you some notes and changes and then that version is changing. So we want to be able to have different line items of shots. Same sort of thing. What is the type? Time estimates, and all this information can feed from other tables into this master sort of table here. Media, what information are we kind of bringing along for the ride? Is it scripts? Is it documents? Is it thumbnails? Whatever it is. On the team side of here, we have the ability to, in our expanded list, for example, keep track of key information and then also information about recruiting. So who are all the folks that we have interviewed, who have we actually hired? And the nice thing about Notion is you can repurpose these tables again and again and again. And what you're going to see when I kind of get back into the main page is you can now start to use that main table, but only show smaller little subsets of that. So maybe you want to have one list of active crew and another list of folks that are potential hires. It'd be really easy to use this one table and then be able to filter and separate those out. Okay. Next up in here, I've got my proposal and my quote summary. So here's where I'm actually talking about every iteration of the bid that we're doing, right? Whether it's a spec bid or a version 2, version 3, version 72. All of the line items that are kind of going into this one. So this will be pulling from the shot table. The rate card is the idea that every single rate card can iterate over time. So there's your 2025 rates, your 2026 rates. You can even associate these rate cards with clients at the same time as well. So you don't have to keep track of different bidding things that you are doing in there. And then lastly, the rates themselves will be where you're going to mention your compositors or your animators and all of those along the stack. And all of this is going to funnel up to an actual bidding system in the software. And I touched on this the other day here, still working on this one, is you can either A, have your bids in Excel or whatever tool you have and bring them in and just keep track of them here. Or B, you can actually bid in the software here. All right, so I can maybe change this to be 4 days or 5 days, and all of your costs are going to update. You can keep track of your statuses. You can also keep track of some of those things that are just nuanced to an industry. Maybe I want to apply a 10% discount, or maybe I want to force something to be overridden. I can go in now and change some of these things to be whatever they need to be, and then apply that to the model here, and the calculations will update accordingly. Anyway, carrying on with this one, I have posted, it's going to be in the comments at the bottom. If you're interested in what I'm doing and you're interested in potentially having access to the Notion template, there's this Google form that I've created, and I welcome you to take a look at it. I'm going to ask you what your role is. I'm going to ask you what industry you're in, how you currently handle this sort of thing, and what are some of the challenges that you think this template could potentially solve. And of course, I'm a startup founder, so I'm trying to figure out whether this is the kind of thing that I can turn into a revenue stream for me or not. So I'm just looking for some of your feedback along the way there. When you sign up for this, I will give you an email when we get to some of our updates ready and we're ready to start testing the software. So anyway, that's where we're at. I look forward to your feedback, and I'll keep you updated next week. Thanks.